I'm shooting this video a little differently than I usually do. One, using an action cam, but then also using a drone. Hey drone. So as I move around the garden, you can get a good orientation of where I am and how everything is laid out. So I'm going to start right now at my gate that has yet to be completed because it just has an old storm door propping it up. We can go over to the first gate that I built and completed, and this is my main entrance and exit to the garden. Here it is. And as you can see, this is what you see right when you walk in to the garden. So I'll start with these beds in the back right here. Right now, just carrots in this bed, and I cleared everything out actually yesterday and also pruned back this tree really heavily. When I first put these beds in, these trees weren't as far out as they were, but they really took off this spring and summer. So I had to pull those back because there was actually moss growing in this bed. So not a good sign, not enough sunlight for almost anything. The carrots seem to be doing okay. I've planted spinach, some more carrots, and some radishes. And then back on this trellis, I'll start some peas in just a little bit. Now this next bed over here, we've got some beans growing. So these are a vining bean. I believe these are the Cherokee Trail of Tears beans. I've got some lettuce that has gone far too long and is not really edible. It's gonna be way too bitter. But I'm using it mainly as kind of ground cover right now, and a few of it is, you know, going to flower, which is nice. Bringing the pollinators. This lettuce right down here is still fine. It doesn't bolt as easily, so it's a little bit more heat tolerant. I've got two different varieties of kale. This curly kale is my wife's favorite. She doesn't really like anything else, but I'm going to try to grow some new stuff in the fall. See if she likes it. It looks interesting to me, kind of the dinosaur kale type stuff. Then I have some buckwheat growing in this bed. Not so much to eat, even though it is going to flower, but it's mainly for the flowers, for the pollinators, and to have something in the ground just growing to help that soil biology, keep weed pressure down a little bit. But then I also have some green beans in here that are doing okay. Been having some green beans. I think I'll probably get one or two more harvested of these, and then I'm gonna let them go to seed so I can use the seed for next year. Now let's go back up towards the gate. I've got a planter down here with some lavender that I started. I've got some nasturtiums that never really took off. Some yellow squash. It looks like I've got one ready to pick right now. You can see that yellow squash right there. Back in there. My marigolds to maybe help deter predators, to be a trap plant, but also they just look really pretty. And then I have my zucchini, and I believe I've got, yeah, this nice chunky boy right down here that I might let it go one more day. This one's going for zucchini bread, so a little bit larger than I would normally want it to be. And then I've got some kale in a container. It's one of the first things I actually started growing this year. It's got a lot of bug problems on it, so I might need to do a little insecticidal soap on that. Got some herbs starting to come up. I believe some oregano, some dill that finally sprouted. I don't even remember when I planted that. And a lone little sage plant right here that finally came up out of nowhere. Now, going back to the garden beds, this bed right here is largely, it's pretty sparse looking right now. I have some basil that we'll see if it really starts to grow and put out more before the end of the year. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. Average first frost is usually Halloween, so I've got some time for those to fill out. I have on this trellis on this side some loofah. Up until a few days ago, this big loofah right here was my only loofah, but I just noticed that I've got two more guys dangling down right here, one on the back side right down here. So I'm gonna have some more loofahs, and I've got lots of little flowers. Might need to hand pollinate. I don't know if that's the problem, but I've got lots of pollinators. So maybe my loofah is just being difficult. Going through the trellis, a tomato, the sun gold, my wife's favorite. I've got some planters in between these two raised beds. I'm tempted to get some wood and connect these two raised beds because I left the space to be able to walk between them this way, but it's really using up space, not the most economical way. And I think also the same, going back to these beds where the squash were over here. Now this whole layout is what I designed on paper, and for the most part, very, very happy with it. But with these beds, they're about 4 feet deep, and reaching to the back side where the fence is a little hard without getting in the ground. Depending on what you have planted, you're gonna have some compaction. So I'm thinking about this fall actually taking this bed, whole big strip out right here, maybe putting in more raised beds right through this area all the way down to the fence, or just bringing it out further and then putting like a foot on the backside near the fence to make it a little bit easier. This bed right here is one of my pepper beds, and I don't know if you know what a shishito is, a Japanese pepper that sort of looks like a peppercini, but these plants are absolutely loaded. I'm gonna be picking all of these probably today to pickle them, at least some of them, and then just kind of blister some of the other ones and just have those. I've got some jalapenos over here, my bell peppers. This is Hungarian hot paprika that I'm putting on right now, nice red, and I'm gonna take these and dehydrate these in a dehydrator. These are my tomatoes that weren't doing all that well. I think I overwatered them. They then started perking up, which was great. And now I think they're about towards the end of their life for the season. We've got a few more, fruits on here that are coming in. On the other side, more tomatoes, these ones reaching up above my trellis system here, but they're starting to come on. Got a lovely squash beetle chewing on a tomato. But these right here are the Amish paste tomatoes, and then I have Cherokee purple, which I've got one right there. I've got a few in the house. Now on this other side of this trellis over here, I have cucumbers. They're about done, these plants. I've got one down there. Here's a nice little cucumber. I think because of the cucumber beetles, I've had some issues with the cucumbers this year, but I already went ahead and I've planted peas just yesterday, so the peas will start coming up and be a nice fall weather crop going up the trellis, and probably might have a few more weeks. I don't know. It looks like this plant is trying. On the back side of this bed, on the other side of the trellis, I have my okra. Next year, I'm definitely gonna plant a whole lot more okra. Okra produces pretty consistently, and if I was just maybe eating the okra, this would be enough. How many plants do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a little runt. would probably be enough because I don't think my wife likes okra all that much. This would probably be enough, but I want to can it, and so getting enough to can it at any one time is a little difficult. So I'm probably going to grow a really long row of okra next year as I expand the garden. Some more green beans. These were kind of planted late before a fall crop. And then under this board right here, starting some carrots that I put in just yesterday. And the board is supposed to help retain moisture to help them germinate a little bit better. More peppers on the backside right here. These are Scotch bonnet chilies. Got a few ripe ones. And then these are dottles. They came free. They were some free seeds that I got with my order from Baker Creek. They're supposed to turn orange, so I'm waiting on those. It's my biggest plant, and it took a while to start producing, but it did start producing. What has yet to start producing would be my Carolina Reapers, which I was very excited for, the hottest pepper in the world, but it is starting to put on flowers, so this might be another thing where I need to hand pollinate, come out with a little brush and make sure that I get some of these peppers. Over here on the other side, I've got this bed that is all San Marzano peppers, tomatoes. Sorry, I got distracted, I heard a bird. Tomatoes, and they've been producing really well. I've got a big giant thing of them frozen right now to get enough critical mass to can, and then a bunch sitting on the countertop. And then by the looks of it, there are a lot more to harvest as well. Coming onto this bed right here, some more lavender that's gone to flower now. Got some sage plants, my lemon balm, leeks, and corn that is probably a little late, but not as late as the other corn that I've got going on. But this is a sweet corn. I've got some sunflowers on the backside. Now this corn right here is either Bloody Butcher or the Glass Gem. I don't remember. But under it, I've got some pumpkins that are looking good, but yet to put on a pumpkin, but I'm not too worried about that just yet. Got a lot of flowers, a lot of pollinators, so I think maybe once it cools down a little bit, because sometimes when it's too warm, things in the cucumberate family don't do well and don't put on female flowers. And then more gourds over here. This area, let's see, this is, what is this? What are you? Acorn squash. Those are doing very well. That's actually a seed that my wife purchased while out at the hardware store or something, picking up something, because we really like them, and I just didn't buy any of them, and doing very, very well. So that's gonna be something I grow again. And butternut squash, I've got a few down there that are looking pretty good. I've got 2 peppers tucked in on this that are surprisingly doing well, and they were kind of an afterthought that I just had. Some more marigolds. These right here, these 2 planters that are spilling over, this would be sweet potatoes. So I've got 2 things of sweet potatoes right here. Very, very, very lush. Looking good. And I think that's it for the garden right now. Now I did start more seeds just this morning that are in my house to bring out in probably a few weeks to get a fall garden going. Never really grew up doing fall gardens. Maybe it's a little late, maybe it's fine. Given all the things I've read online and kind of the calculations that you can do back from your average first frost date, it should be okay. So we'll see how that goes. We've got beets, one of the few root crops that you can transplant easily. Tons of kale, Swiss chard, and mustard. So that'll be our fall winter crop. And then more carrots. I think once I clear out these beds, I'm gonna do 2 full beds of garlic and just think about everywhere else that I want to optimize and expand the garden for next year. Now this area right here isn't the area that I originally thought was going to be the garden. Actually, let me switch to the drone. Hey drone. So here's the garden right now, and let's see if I can pilot this well enough. So this area that is right here is where our new septic tank is sitting. And here's the old septic tank. I've got some plans for that in the future. But right where the garden is was where the lines went for the old septic. And then the septic drain field was actually this whole treed area right over here. I'm above the treetops. I don't want to hit the trees with my drone. Yeah, so this area all with the trees was where the drain field was, which is why everything failed. And I just got a low battery warning. So let's see. But the original area for the garden, whoop, wrong way. See how often I use this drone. Was this area right here. And this is gonna be future garden space next year as I continue to clear that out, get that under control, and maybe build a hoop house, but this will have more rows rather than raised beds in this area right here. Okay. Well, now it's beeping at me. Yeah, a low battery, okay.
Landing.
Drone safely on the ground. But there you have it, my garden tour. Hopefully this video didn't go too long, just a walk around the garden and all the stuff that I've been doing. It's been fun. Been a fun year for my very first garden. My name is Tyler Lloyd. I make videos about living a happier, healthier, sustainable life and things in that vein. If that interests you, be sure to subscribe. And until next time, I wish you the very best. See you later. Bye.